How could angels have procreated and produced a race of giants when Jesus said that we will be like the angels, neither marrying nor being given in marriage? That's a very good question, and I want to answer that. First of all, Jesus said we will be like the angels in heaven. He did not say the angels in hell, all right? And according to Peter, there are angels that have been thrown into hell right now because they did procreate on the earth. So the first thing we have to recognize is Jesus is differentiating between Satan's angels and God's angels. So yes, God's angels, they do not procreate. They do not have genders. So how is it possible then that these angels that are mentioned in Genesis 6 could have procreated and produced a race of giants? And also the book of Jude also affirms this same idea. So how's that possible? Well, let's look at what Jude has to say about this, because he gives you an explanation as to why this happened. Let me say, first of all, that Genesis chapter 6, I believe, is clearly referencing fallen angels. Because it says in chapter 6, verse 2, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. And then he mentions a race of giants was produced called the Nephilim. All right? And notice the term sons of God. Now, this term sons of God is used in the book of Job to reference angels. Job 1:6. Now, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also was among them. So Satan, who is a fallen angel, he was part of the sons of God that were presented. So I want you to understand, according to Genesis, the sons of God are the fallen angels, that at least some of them, that did something terrible by trying to destroy the human race. Okay, now we're going to answer the question, how is it possible that these angels could become human beings? All right, let's look at Jude chapter 1, because it's only chapter 1, but let's take a look at what he has to say about these angels and how they were able to do this. He says in verse 6, the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on that great day. And that's, of course, what the book of Enoch talks about, is that these angels were eventually thrown into hell. And when the flood came and destroyed all the Nephilim, their spirits remained on earth. And that's where we get demons from. That's according to the book of Enoch. Let me say this. The book of Enoch was highly revered by the Jews of the Second Temple, which was the time of Christ. And it was highly revered by the early Christians. So revered that even Jude quotes from the book of Enoch. However, Christians and the Jews did not regard the book of Enoch as scripture. So I'm giving you my opinion. This is not dogmatic. It is just my explanation to the best I can to explain what happened. Jude says that these angels did not keep their positions of authority. The word authority is arch, where we get archangels from. And it is the highest of all realms. That's what arch means. And Jude is saying they did not keep the highest of all habitations. And what was the highest? Is the celestial beings. And the celestial means heavenly. And angels are these heavenly beings. But watch what he says. But they abandon their proper dwelling. Notice people say, well, this is when they were kicked out of heaven. No, it says here they abandoned it. They did not get kicked out. See, the war in heaven that drove out the fallen angels, that was a war, and they were forced out of heaven. Jude is not talking about this original time, but rather he's talking about they abandoned it. That means they left their proper dwelling. And the word dwelling is a good translation. It's habitation. It's their home, which is a good reference to either their homes in heaven or their home as their celestial bodies. Because angels have celestial bodies, which means their bodies are of a higher level than our bodies. Which means, though, that it's possible for a higher level to come down to a lower level. And this is what Jude says. They did come down from the higher level of being celestial to becoming terrestrial. And this is what Jude is basically saying, is they left it. They abandoned that dwelling that they used to have. And that's where he's saying what happened to them. And then he says these angels were bound in darkness, and they were thrown into hell. Peter says they were thrown into hell. So this is obviously not a reference to all the fallen angels. because the fallen angels are not in hell right now, right? Demons are not in hell right now. So we're still battling them, but he's referring to a particular group of angels that did have sexual relations with women, and they produce a race of giants. And I do believe that Genesis is talking about that, and I do believe the book of Enoch is accurate in its portrayal of it. It is not dogmatic. If you don't believe demons come from the Nephilim, well, that's all right. But I'm just trying to explain to you, how is it possible that celestial beings can become terrestrial? It's real simple. Anything higher can become lower. Lower cannot become higher, right? But the lower can come down to our level, and that's what happened to these particular angels. They came and took on bodies of corrupted flesh, and they end up producing a race of giants. That's what I think happened.